Alexis De Tocuqueville, Minority Rights Theory.
One bright sunny day in Paris, a new life came into the world on July 29, 1804. Comte Harry Benaventure Perret de Tocqueville and Louise Lepelletier de Rosambo decided to name their third child Alexis de Tocqueville, since they already had two boys, Hippolyte and Edward de Tocqueville. They are from an aristocratic background. As a child growing up, he was constantly moving from one place to the next. As a result, he grew up in four places: Le de France, Angers, Dijon, and Metz. This was because his father was a mayor and a prefect on the move.
Tocqueville was homeschooled by a private tutor, Abel Sakur, after which he attended high school. However, at age 16, he attended College Royal in Metz, studying philosophy. He then chose law as his profession. In 1827, he accepted encouragement as a mediating judge in Versailles, becoming a substitute judge in 1830. During this time, he began to have doubts about the roles of aristocracy in French government and suffered a deep religious crisis that will affect him for the rest of his life. After finishing college at age 18, he moved to Paris and studied law. Tocqueville's father was made a peer by Charles X in 1827. The July Revolution in 1830, in which Charles X abdicated, Louis Philippe acceded to the throne. As a result of this revolution, Tocqueville's father lost his peerage and Tocqueville's position in France became precarious.
Seeing that France was moving towards democratization, he looked to the USA as a political model, with the pretext of wanting to study prison reforms in America. Tocqueville obtained permission to travel there in order to gain knowledge of American political development, knowledge which he hopes to use in order to influence France's political development.
After his trip to America, Tocqueville visited England to study the British system of government. The findings and conclusions appeared in the 1833 The U.S. Penitentiary System and its application in France. There he admired the severity and effectiveness of the separate or solitary system of punishment and reform, especially as employed in Pennsylvania at Philadelphia's Eastern State Penitentiary, where the prisoners, always in isolation, was taught to think of labor as a gift or release from the burden of idleness. In 1835, the first part of Democracy in America was published, a highly positive and optimistic account of American government. That same year, Tocqueville married Mary Motley, an Englishwoman. The marriage was a scandal to Tocqueville's family because they considered Mary Motley to be of inferior birth.
Tocqueville re-entered politics in 1837, however he lost, and in 1839 he was elected to the chamber. In 1840, the second part of Democracy in America was published. This volume was more pessimistic than the first, warning the dangers
Disposition and governmental centralization. In 1841, Tocqueville was elected to the French Academy and the Academy of Moral and Political Science. Tocqueville returned to Paris in 1857 before Louis Neapolitan's coup to take over the government. Strongly opposed to the coup, Tocqueville was imprisoned briefly and then barred from holding public office because he refused to swear allegiance to the new regime. Excluded from political life, Tocqueville focused on writing the old regime and the French Revolution in the early 1850s. On April 16, 1859, Tocqueville died of tuberculosis and was buried in the village of Tocuqueville, near Normandy. His recollections were published posthumously in 1893.
This was an informative session, man. However, it's very long. All this time I study Mr. Tocuqueville. I never know so that's why I'm right about minority rights. We just feel saying love talk about minority. The lecturer said it was while he was in America when he was on the prison observation. He was passing an election and he realized that it's only white people that were allowed to vote. So out of curiosity, he approached one of the black persons. And you know the positivity my friend said? Sir, even though he has the right to vote, he is not allowed because the majority in America, they can make and break the rules. And because he wished not to be discriminated against, he refused to exercise his right to vote. And because of that, Tocuqueville realized that democracy is not about equality. He realized that in America, democracy is actually the majority are the ones that are given the right. They're the ones that make and break the rules. And as a result, he decided to write this theory so that the minority can have someone to speak out for them. I really enjoy this, man. All right.
Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, him a the man with the plan to help the nation and him talk out the minority plan. Democracy is equal justice, but in an eye, a injustice. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Religion say was an option to break free from destruction. Mediocrity was minority, pernicious was majority. He believed that the minority was weak and powerless. The minority should be protected from the tyranny of the majority. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. He worried that democracy would lead to despotism. He worried that this would happen if equality was not invented. He blamed the power of the majority would lead to destruction. Equalitarian was an option to seize destruction. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville, Alexis De Tocuqueville, man of equality, man of liberty. Alexis De Tocuqueville.
persons were marooned down in their home in Manchester. A transgender female in Portmore, oh God. She had to be rescued by the police, and 2 gay men in Portmore were evicted from their own home. What we gonna do? We want justice. Imagine, after me try make a food, then one man stick me up and take on the wheelchair. Oh God, we can't walk. We don't have rights. But we stop where we have rights, man.
Would you like to introduce yourselves, please, and thanks?
My name is Williams, and I'm representing disabled persons in the society.
I am Sabrina Richardson, and I will be representing the prisoners in our society.
My name is Kiana Michelle, and I represent the lesbian, gays, transgenders, and bisexual group in the society.
Okay. Mr. Tocuqueville's theory is based on the minority rights, and he believes that for democracy to exist, there must be equality and liberty, right?
Yes.
So do you think that his theory is applying itself in the Jamaican society today, and why?
I totally agree with that because I'm totally in agreement with this. I'm a disabled person in Jamaican society, and I'm seeing inequality in the society in that we are not given the equal opportunities in terms of jobs or any other aspects in the society. We are being discriminated against because of our disability. So I'm totally in agreement with all of them.
Yes, I agree also, because as being a representative, being a part of Tocuqueville's Mario Dean's family, it shows to the level of how the prisoners are protected by the government, because being an prisoner, you know you have committed a crime, but you're also in the hands of the government and you're not being protected. So I do believe that those minority groups their voice aren't heard. Right.
And in reference to the LGBT persons, they are being discriminated against in the Jamaican society. I think the reason for that is our mindset. We don't believe in change, and then again I think the community, our society that we grew up in, doesn't believe that gays should be accepted because it's morally wrong.
Yeah.
But we have a right for to express ourselves freely without discrimination, and gays being discriminated against, our rights are being violated, and I don't agree with that.
Okay. So, and to add, I believe that it's because of the crude mentality of our Jamaicans today why they're having this homophobia, right, of lesbians and gays. They are not open-minded.
Right.
So I believe that there should be some form of implementation of an educational lobby or session for these persons so as to educate them about these different
minority group so that they can feel freely or welcome them freely in the society because everyone has a freedom of choice. So I believe that persons have the right to make a choice fitting to their needs or wants.
But in Tocqueville's theory, he says that religion can influence some of these issues in our society that can help
That's a
solve
good
these
point. That is
issues
a
in
good
the
point.
society. But Jamaica is a Christian community, it's a Christian country. And Christians won't readily or won't accept the fact that gays have rights and lesbians have rights. But then again, you should look at, if you're looking at it from a biblical perspective in the terms of the Bible says you should care for each other, then they are not doing that. They are more discriminating against, the Bible saying that a man and a man should be together, or a woman and a woman should be together. But then, the Bible says you should love everybody and treat everybody the same. But as far as I'm seeing, that's not happening in the Jamaican society.
And just to add to what Miss Mitchell was saying, he said that who is without sin to cast the first stone? Who are we to judge? Are we doing much better than the gays? Can we judge them? So we have to go back as Jamaican citizens. We have to go back and say, are we doing what the Bible is saying? Are we just reforming it to fit our suit our lifestyles? Because you don't like it, you shouldn't do it. We're not in that position to judge anybody. So I totally
And just to add, when I was reading, I read in addition to Miss Mitchell, Tocqueville says that religion is the only option
In resolving
democracy. But to me, it will not be in all cases because in the case of a Muslim or a Rasta, these are other additional groups found in Jamaica. Religion will not play out its part in this because Christians will not accept the Muslim faith and they will not accept the principles of Rasta. So I do not agree with Tocqueville on this principle.
But you could look at it from a more moral level. You can't just not respect a person's decision and choice. You can't do that. So I think that Tocqueville was talking about religion on a more moral and values level. You understand? If the Bible said love one another, love each other, love our neighbors, treat them with love and everything. So I think if he was coming off it at a moral and values level, we could agree with him from that perspective.
But further in his theory, he said that further down, the democratic society would lead to a lot of violence. This is because persons in the higher rank will always want to seek more for themselves and isn't looking out and
for the minority.
Yes, and not looking out for the minority group. So this will cause a lot of havoc in the society today.
Okay, so he was referring to this as despotism.
Yeah.
And this is actually true because I'm not sure if you read the Observer on the 7th of October, where this disabled lady, she was in her wheelchair, trying to sell on the roadside, and the government actually took away her wheelchair. Who is protecting us from what we talk about equality in a democratic society?
Right.
Why is it that disabled persons are not given the equal treatment? We need someone to speak up for us, or our voices are not being heard.
Yes.
This is really unfair.
And even with the children in society, every child deserves the right to survival. Hence,
be protected.
Yes. And this isn't happening in the Jamaican society today because children's rights are being abused by persons who they think that they can trust. For example, their fathers, stepfathers, mothers, and so forth. And even with this case, with this 13-year-old girl in Trelawney, where she was raped and killed, and there are a lot of human rights groups who are put in place to protect the children's rights. And in this case, there wasn't any positive results from this incident. So their rights
who are representing us, yes. They have
Their
the
rights
Just to add, Ms. Johnson, yes, there's a lot of those groups that are actually protecting us. But I'm wondering, is it that they're not given the power to exercise this right to protect us? Because I'm not seeing them doing anything.
Yeah.
You see them, it's like something bad actually happening.
Right. I do, just to add, you see, you have persons, they are providing persons, because even in the Mario Dean situation, the warden, you have a warden, you have a jail warden, and yet for all, you have persons putting in ordinary person into a cell with disabled persons.
Yes.
How is that to happen when you're paying someone to do? You're not doing their job.
From the
You understand?
disabled person perspective, that's a violation of their rights.
Exactly.
Because you're putting in a sane person
With an insane
in a
person.
cell with a not so sane person.
And Tocuqueville also spoke about this. He says that the majority, they're the ones who make and break the rules.
And right, and they don't necessarily have to agree with their own rules that they set. So we as a minority have to be doing all these rules that they set,
and
which they don't do.
That set
And
rules, not following the rules.
this is also obvious, evident in the government. It's not only in the social groups. When you think about parliament and you think about the JLP and the PNP, currently the PNP is the majority and the JLP is the minority.
True.
And you're seeing this kind of conflict, you're seeing despotism occurring at this time in politics. So Tocuqueville's theory, it just speaks mainly to our society, and it is evident in Paul's parts of
Yes,
the
it
society.
is. And if you, as what you said about the PNP and the JLP, as a PNP and there's a JLP community, you won't see much happening in the JLP community, but the PNP will have all these pretty stuff and development going on. So just to add, we can do relate to Tocuqueville's philosophy and teaching. It does apply to Jamaica. So sad, but it does. It's the ugly truth, and we need to fix that issue before we can move forward.
Finally, I wanted to say that I believe that Jamaicans should be more open-minded when it comes down to LGBT persons, because they have feelings and emotions and they just want to be accepted.
Okay, this is really interesting, this discussion, yet the producer is giving us the wrap-up signal, so we have to continue this discussion next week. But I'll pose this question for the viewers to respond to the date, but you can respond to this question on Schoology. The question for today is, as a minority group in the Jamaican society, what are some of the negative feedbacks that they get on a daily basis?
I just want to give just a brief response. In regards to disabled persons, I'm just asking if the government could implement some policy in protecting us. And I just have a question, viewers. Do you agree with Tocuqueville that religion is the only way of fixing this fixing a democratic society?
And if the time permits me, could I add a question?
Sure.
Do you believe that as prisoners, they should have rights that are reinforced by the government? Yes.
Okay, you can all respond to these questions on Schoology. Thank you.